Thank you, Deep Clough, and I'd like to start by thanking my committee chair, John Griffiths, for opening this debate. I am pleased to see that the government has accepted in principle all the recommendations of this report. I believe strongly that we need to encourage diversity in politics, local or otherwise, whether it's gender, race, thought or socio-economic, because it brings together everyone's individual experiences and backgrounds to collectively help their communities. In my remarks today, I want to particularly focus on recommendations 12 and 13, those of bringing together key partners to combat abuse in local government politics and pressing the UK government to take stronger action against social media abuse. It is undoubtedly human nature for people to react strongly against governments and their policies. We heard it yesterday in this chamber by some members who believe the policies of the UK government are evil, yet we are a society that fundamentally believes and encourages free speech. But with great power comes great responsibility, and we should be minded about how our actions and words in this chamber are viewed by those outside, and more importantly, what reactions our words encourage. In today's digital age, we are seeing growing numbers of people now believing that they have the right to hurl vile abuse and threats whenever they feel like it. We must, for the future of our democracy, take action in setting the standards of how we engage with others and how we express our frustrations and concerns towards each other. It will be mirrored by those watching us. Diversity is a challenge in local government. There is very little incentive to put your head above the parapet and to advocate for your community. There is a widespread lack of respect for politicians. There's very little thanks shown, and you open yourself up to huge amounts of abuse for just trying to make your community a better place to live. Who in their right mind would do such a thing? I imagine everyone here has suffered abuse in one form or another. I know I have, and it usually comes from people who would ordinarily see themselves as quite rational under normal circumstances. Yet the harsh truth is, a lot of this abusive behaviour is incited by politicians themselves. Members of all political parties have to understand that when we say derogatory and personal comments about other politicians, then we are setting the example for the public to follow. And this is not a new problem either. In 1948, Tory voters, as far as Nyron Bevan was concerned, were lower than vermin. There are also many recent examples as well. Angela Rayner labelling Tories as scum only serves to validate the hurling of abuse by Labour supporters towards Conservatives, and in turn validates Conservatives in hurling it back, a vicious circle. We know the situation is bad when even a bishop, such as the former Bishop of St. David's, who should be proclaiming the gospel messages of love and care for our neighbours, is fully prepared and unashamed to incite hatred towards those with different political opinions. Verbal abuse can so easily lead to physical abuse, and this hatred eventually boils over into violence and despicable acts, as we have so sadly seen the horrifying murders of Joe Cox and David Amos. Deep Clough, I know that I've cited only 3 examples, but this isn't a problem solely with the Labour or the left. Activists and politicians from every political party, including my own, have been guilty at some point of this, and we have to realise that this behaviour is putting people off standing. In order to encourage diversity and address abuse towards politicians, we need to be mindful of the language we use. We have to call out members and members of our own parties when they haven't set the high standards we should expect. I appreciate, as mentioned in the report, the efforts made to provide training and materials to deal with harassment and abuse, but we need to do more than just accepting it as a part of public life. We need to make a conscious effort of changing public attitudes. The Senedd should be instrumental in helping reset the standards for how politicians of all levels are treated. It is fair and proper that we campaign, scrutinise and call out policies we see as negative or detrimental. But when it turns to abuse, nobody wins. Thank you.